It's Jesse Homestead. I'm going to do a short video for you on how to add, if you're taking cattle into an auction, how to add some additional value uh, and what you're going to need to get that done. So stand by. Here we go. Jesse Homestead, how the heck are you today? Okay, we're gonna do cattle auctions 201, and because I've had a lot of folks asking some questions about it, and I thought I'd put some things out there for you. If you're taking cattle in to sell at an auction, you need to distinguish your cattle from everybody else's, if at all possible. Lions and tigers and bears. How in the heck do you do that? Cow's a cow, right? Wrong. Okay. You will hear that auctioneers a lot of times will say, this came from XYZ farm. It has value added due to available records. What's that really mean? Okay. Well, it is the record of that cow that you're getting ready to bid on from the day it fell out of its mama to the day it hit that auction floor. What vaccines it's had, what shots it's had, what treatments it's had. It's either its ear tag or its tattoo number, date of birth. Everything you can do to document anything that went on with that particular cow. At an auction, that adds value because the new buyer isn't walking up to a totally strange animal. He's got documentation that says, okay, it's already had these shots, it was wormed on X date, all these things he can look at. And they call that added value. It will drive the price of your cattle up. And if you're running a clean cattle operation, you have those records available to you. It's just a matter of taking it off your spreadsheet, running it out on a form, and having that form available for the auction. They put it in a folder, and when somebody purchases it, they hand them the folder. There's your information. Okay? And the more detailed it is, the more accurate it is, the better off you are. Okay? Because a lot of times you'll hear the auctioneer say, we've got added value on this animal. It has detailed records. Okay? People pay extra for that, folks. Especially if they're putting them into like a commercial herd or something of this nature, because they're no longer cold turkey on this animal. All right, they know it's been vaccinated. They know when it was vaccinated. They know when it's been wormed. They know its tag numbers. They know everything about this animal because you've kept records. They'll be able to go, yep, it cut its leg on barbed wire back in, 2 years ago. And if you have it, you take the receipt number from a vet if it's been to a vet, to where you can provide those records also. A lot of times I'll include it. I'll make a copy of, the vet's record on what was done to that animal and attach it to it. Okay? It adds value to your animal. They're willing to pay more because they have that information. Okay? A lot of times from your county extensions, if you're running grass-fed beef, grass-fed beef is an added value. Okay? It adds a certain amount of value if you say, oh, these are grass-raised, grass-fed. It is a whole different story if you have a report from like your county extension or something of that nature where they've came out, they've checked your operation, and they go, okay, this guy raises them on grass and feeds them, because every cow is going to get some sort of supplements and minerals, and lists out what he witnessed as being what was fed to the cattle and what minerals were being used on the cattle. Here again, that documentation is basically just backing up what you say. It's very easy to go, well, yeah, that cow's grass fed. And you've been dumping grain down its throat for the last 6 months. Okay? And people at auctions that are experienced are going to kind of go, You know, and let me tell you something. If I see cattle being paraded through at an auction and you can see signs on their rumps of very loose stools, odds are that's a grain fed cow. I don't care what the owner says. Okay? That's just a simple fact. Their diet's too rich in grain. So you need to make sure that you have the documentation on hand going into the auctioneers that this indeed is a grass-fed animal. Okay? So kind of think about these things a little bit. Any information you can attach about the animal. Okay? What stock it, who's the sire, who's the dam, things of this nature. These should be part of your records. Okay? If you're not keeping that accurate of record on your herd, that's a problem. It truly is. Because you don't even know. So, and the value added can add up. Like I said, a lot of times you see you have a low range and you have a high range that people are paying for the same poundage of cattle. That's part of it. Okay? Down here, no documentation. They're taking that animal just off of what little time that they've had to look at it out there in the ring. Up here, they're looking at an animal that has validation records, has complete records from the day it fell out of its mama straight on through. Okay? The smart cattleman is going to go, I will pay more for that cow. I can track its history. I know where it's been, how it's been raised. I know pretty much everything there is to know about that cow. So, for just a tad bit of work, because if you're keeping those records, and you should be keeping that accurate of records on cattle. If you're keeping those kind of records, it's very easy to transfer it over onto a PDF form or something of this nature, print it off, put it in a folder with its tag number written across the top of it or its tattoo number, and there you go. Now, when I talk about tag numbers and tattoo numbers, a commercial cow will usually get a tag. Hang it in the ear, got a number. Okay? That is standard procedure for most commercial cattle. Some guys won't even tag them like that until they're ready to sell. Okay? Because cows have a tendency to tear those out of their ear if they're in there for too long of a period. So usually when you're getting ready to move a group in, you go ahead and tag them at that point. That's standard commercial cows. Your breeding stock. When you're selling some of your breeding stock off, those usually, if you're not tattooing their ears, you're really running a risk, okay? Because an ear tag can be cut off. Simple. If I come out to your pasture with a trailer in the middle of the night and steal 5 of your best cows, all right, and disappear out into the sunset with it, and I run them into auction, and there's no ear tag, there's no way for you to really identify that cow. That's simple. Okay? If it is tattooed in the ear, and that tattoo number is registered, that auction house looks that number up. And they want to make sure that you're the fella that owns that cow. Okay? It's a little service they provide. And I have heard cases where cattle hit auction. The true owner was notified, and the police showed up to take care of whoever turned that animal into auction when they came to pick up their check. Yeah, they were kind of set up. Breeding stock, your valuable breeding stock, you definitely want to tattoo them. Now, I usually will tattoo them twice. When they're calves, firstborn, while the information's fresh and I'm doing up their records. I'll get a number for them. I'll tag the rear with it and tattoo it. It's a very simple process, but over time that wears off. So if you've had that animal out in your pasture breeding for 5, 6 years and you go to try to read that number, good luck. Yeah. So before they go into auction, you also tattoo the other ear. And that way it's a fresh tattoo, very easy to read. Okay? So the auctioneer has no problem getting that number right. It can save you your tush. All right? Really can. Make sure if it's breeding stock, it's tattooed. Don't rely on ear tags. Because if things get hard in agriculture, believe me, folks, cattle rustling still is a alive and active trade today. You know, farmers lose cattle all the time. And nothing wrong with their fences. It's like, where'd that cow go? Good cattlemen can steal your cows in a heartbeat. Okay, I say good cattlemen, but they know how to handle livestock. If they were any good, they would be raising their own, not stealing somebody else's. But that's sometimes not how it goes. So make sure you always tattoo your breeding stock. And most of the registering services for like a registered Angus, Brangus, whatever, are now requiring that you tattoo that animal. So you're complying with their regulations. Everything's good. Make sure you do that. And here again, attach all the records you have on it. What if you're selling off a bull, okay, what calves do you credit to that bull? And a lot of people's response is, how in the heck would I know? Well, if you're running breeding, all right, you better know. Okay, because the mama's going to be put in a pasture with that bull and several other mamas, okay? And you should know this cow, this cow, this cow on this breeding season was sired by that bull. Have that information not only in their records, but also credit it to that bull. Okay, because if I go to buy a bull and he has sired a massive amount of calves, then I can look down at their records and say, that guy's throwing off low birth weight calves, which means I'm not going to have problems with birthing. That bull's worth a little more money to me now, isn't he? I'd be willing to pay a little bit more for a quality bull like that. See how it works? Okay. So when you're taking animals into auction and if you've kept your records and you've kept your paperwork up to date, make sure you include that when you unload that animal at the auction. Give it to them. Because like I said, if you're sitting there when they're making the announcement running your cattle into the ring, you may have had 20 black Angus ran through. Now comes your cattle. And it perks up everybody's ears when they start saying these cattle came off of this farm and they have value added because. You'll see the numbers start off higher than that last sale right away. See how it works? You're not gonna make a fortune extra, but trust me, you will usually get back more than you've put into it. All right. So remember that at auctions, value added means a lot. Okay. It gives people confidence. It sets you apart from your competition. And remember, when I talked to you about in Cattle Auctions 101, where you can sit there and listen and go, yeah, that came off of so-and-so's farm. Yeah, we're going to bid on that. Once they know that you're a quality operation and that you're turning out good documented animals, that's what they're going to be saying about you. I want to buy his animals. I know how he takes care of them. I know what he feeds them. I know how that animal's raised. See what I'm saying? You develop a name. You want to have that added value every time you take cattle into auction. And, that name begins to circulate, and suddenly you find out you're not having to haul cattle to an auction house. People are showing up at your place with trailers. Yeah, something to think about. That's right, Tennessee Homestead. I hope you're having a great week. It's Thursday. What do you think? This will probably go up Friday. But you need to look at these things. But you guys have a great week and a terrific weekend. And seriously, if you don't, I'm going to come looking for you. You got to put a smile on your face and get out there, and have some fun. All right. If you're not having fun in life, what's the point? I love you guys and appreciate you. I love the comments. It's a good idea to make your plans before you put that first calf on the ground, that you have your paperwork ready to go in an order so that you can track that little dude's life from start to finish. Okay? Y'all have a great weekend. Talk to you later.